The social battery. The first and perhaps most defining sign is how you view your energy. For an extrovert, social interaction is like a charging station. They go out, they talk to people, and their battery fills up. For you, it's the exact opposite. You leave the house with a fully charged battery, and every single interaction, no matter how pleasant it is, drains a percentage of that battery. When a true introvert hits 0%, it's not just a mild feeling of being tired. It's a physical and mental wall. Your brain gets foggy, your ability to form coherent sentences drops, and you feel an overwhelming, almost primal urge to just escape. If you constantly find yourself calculating exactly how much energy an event will cost you before you agree to go, you're a true introvert. You crave depth. Look at your inner circle. A true introvert rarely has a massive entourage or group chat with 30 people in it. Instead, you likely have 2, maybe 3 people who truly know you. Extraverts are the opposite. They want a wide network of acquaintances, surface level connections, and casual buddies for different activities. Introverts pursue depth. You don't want to know 50 people superficially, you want to know a couple of people deeply. You want to know what keeps them up at night and what their childhood dreams were, and what they actually think about when they're alone. Because of this, small talk feels like actual torture to you. Asking about the weather or sports isn't just boring, it feels like a waste of precious energy. But if someone sits down and wants to talk deep stuff or the future of the universe, you can talk for hours without breaking a sweat. 3. Solitude is not loneliness. There's a massive difference between being lonely and being alone, and true introverts understand that better than anyone. To the outside world, someone sitting by themselves in a coffee shop reading a book or spending a Friday night at home looks sad. But for you, that solitude is a paradise. It's a luxury. True introverts don't just tolerate being alone. They actively need it to survive. It's during those quiet hours when no one is making demands on your attention, when no one is analyzing your facial expressions, and when you don't have to perform for anyone, that your brain finally resets. If you can spend an entire weekend without seeing another human soul and emerge on Monday feeling deeply happy, refreshed, and at peace, you're a true introvert. 4. You're a passive observer. When you walk into a room, whether it's a classroom, a party, or a workplace, your default setting isn't to make your presence known, it's to observe. True introverts are natural-born detectives. Because you aren't focused on projecting your own voice or dominating the conversation, your mind is free to notice the details everyone else misses. You notice the subtle shift in someone's tone of voice when they're uncomfortable. You see the person standing awkwardly in the corner who needs a friend. You read the room instantly. Sometimes people think you're being distant, judgmental, or shy. But the truth is, you're just absorbing data. You prefer to understand the dynamics of an environment completely before you decided how or if you want to interact with it. 5. The introvert hangover. We've all heard of a hangover from drinking too much, but true introverts experience a very specific psychological phenomenon known as the introvert hangover. This happens when you push past your social battery's limit for too long. Maybe you went to a weekend-long conversation or you had a back-to-back family gatherings over the holidays. When the hangover hits, it manifests physically. Your head aches, your muscles feel heavy, you get incredibly irritable, and your brain utterly refuses to process incoming information. If someone speaks to you during an introvert hangover, it can feel genuinely jarring, like a loud noise waking you from a deep sleep. Your nervous system is quite literally fried from overstimulation. If you need a full 24 to 48 hours of complete silence and low sensory input to feel normal after a major social event, that is classic introversion. 6. You prefer writing over speaking. Think about how you communicate best. If you have to break bad news to someone, pitch an idea, or express complex emotions, do you want to do it face to face, or do you desperately want to send a well-crafted text or email? True introverts almost always prefer writing. Why? Because writing gives you the one thing that speech denies you. Time. When you're speaking in real time, the pressure is on to respond instantly. For an introvert's brain, which tends to process information deeply and thoroughly before formulating an opinion, this can feel incredibly rushed. Writing allows you to pause. It lets you choose the exact right words, delete sentences that quite hit the mark, and present your thoughts precisely how you intend them. If you're the type of person who lets phone calls go to voicemail just so you can text them back 5 minutes later, you know exactly what I'm talking about. 7. You have a rich, vivid inner world. If someone could look inside the mind of a true introvert, they wouldn't find a quiet, empty room. They would find a hyperactive, sprawling, vivid universe. Because introverts direct their focus inward rather than outward. Your internal monologue is basically a non-stop commentary track. You are constantly analyzing your past actions, daydreaming about potential futures, playing out imaginary scenarios, or deconstructing concepts you recently read about. This is why introverts rarely get bored when they're alone. Your mind is an entertainment center. You can sit staring out a window for 30 minutes perfectly content, just following a train of thought down a rabbit hole. The downside, of course, is that this can easily flip into overthinking and anxiety, but the richness of your inner life is undeniable. 8. You hate group work but excel in autonomy. In the corporate world, true introverts despise working by committee. It's not because you can't cooperate with others, it's because the process of group work is wildly inefficient for how your brain operates. In a group setting, the loudest voice usually wins. Not the best idea. There's too much performing, too much managing of egos, and too much chaotic noise. You do your best work when you're given a clear objective, the resources you need, and the freedom to go into a quiet corner and figure it out yourself. True introverts are incredibly self-motivated and autonomous. You don't need a boss hovering over your shoulder or a team cheering you on how to get things done. You just need the space to focus. 9. People tell you you're a good listener. Because you aren't constantly waiting for your turn to speak, you actually hear what people are saying. When a friend vents to a true introvert, they don't get interrupted with unsolicited advice. Instead, you validate them, you hold space for them, you ask thoughtful questions that show you've been actually paying attention. People naturally gravitate toward you when they need to convey something heavy or process a difficult emotion because your quiet nature makes you feel like a safe harbor. You selectively adopt extroverted traits. Finally, the 10th sign of a true introvert is that you can actually look like an extrovert when the situation demands it. This is what confuses people the most. They will see you at a party laughing, telling stories, and working the room, and they will say there's no way you're an introvert. But what they don't see is calculation behind it. You have learned how to put on a persona, how to mask, and how to project energy when it matters, for your career, for your friends, for social survival. The difference is that an extrovert does this naturally and effortlessly. For you, it's a conscious performance. And the second you step out the door, the mask comes off, and the sigh of relief comes out, and you head straight home to recover. If you recognize yourself in most of these signs, I want you to remember something. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. You don't need to be cured of your quietness. The world needs people who think before they speak, who observe before they act, and who find strength in silence. Let me know in the comments how many of these signs hit home for you. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more deep dives, and I'll catch you in the next one.